Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Thank you, Tony, for giving us a little organ this morning. Woo! My name is Reverend Emily Bruce. I'm the minister of First Parish, and I want to welcome you here, whether you are here in person or joining us on Zoom. Everybody wave a hi to the Zoom folks. Hi! Thank you for being here. It is so good to be here with all of you this morning. As Unitarian Universalists, we are a people of diverse beliefs, but we share a common faith. A faith that every single person is worthy of love. A faith that what we do in and for our world today really matters. And a faith that we are connected by an interdependent web to each other and to our earth. So whoever you are, whoever you love, however you make meaning of this world around us, you are welcome with us here this morning for worship. Today in our service, we are continuing with our deep question of the month, which is how are we digging deep into our community by honoring the many ancestors in our lives and in this congregation who have taught us, led us, and loved us into being. They built and shaped the world to the best of their ability and then bequeathed it to us to carry forward after they were gone. So how do we feel the responsibility to be good stewards of our community? Communities, plural, I should say. Is that a joyful invitation? Does it feel like a heavy burden? Maybe a little of both. So today we will lift up some stories of those who came before us, who made our way possible, and who still speak to us from the great beyond. But first, as we always do, I would like to invite you all to take a moment and get comfortable in your seats. If you have not yet silenced your cell phone, please do so right now. It only takes a second and it makes a world of difference. Also, put it away if you can, instead of having it in a pocket or in your lap. And join me first in taking a long, deep breath in and out. It's a stressful time, y'all. We're all feeling the anxiety. So however you are able, let yourself go for this next hour, just to be present in this space with us. Take another deep breath in and out. And every single time your mind starts to spin about what's going on in the world around us, take a deep breath. Make it audible. I want to hear lots of throughout the service. Seriously, do it as many times as you need. The breath will stabilize you. The breath will bring you back to yourself. The breath will bring you back into this room. So do that as often as you need. Heck, for the next couple days, too. Okay. Our service will begin by lighting our chalice, which is the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith. And I would like to ask if there is a volunteer who would like to come up and light the chalice while Tom Agello, our worship associate, shares some words. Any takers? Come on. Oh, she raised her hand first. Sorry. All right.
Good morning. My name is Tom Agello, and I am a member of the choir and the music committee, a member of the congregation for about 30 years. It creeps up on you. And this morning we light our chalice with these words by Florence Kaplau. As we kindle this flame, we honor and remember those who have passed into the mystery. Their brightness lives on in our vision. Their courage lives on in our commitments. And their love continues to bless the world through us. I invite you to rise in body or in spirit for our opening hymn, number 324, Where My Free Spirit Onwards Leads, in the gray hymnal, number 324.
Spirit onward leads, Come on, fingers. There we go. Here today on this beautiful early November morning, we find ourselves in a time of seasonal transition. All around us, leaves are falling to the ground, and many plants that bloomed just a very short time ago have withered, not to bloom again until next spring. Days are getting shorter. Nights are getting longer. Animals are preparing for winter by building their hibernaculum. We must hold here for just a moment. I stumbled across this word in my reading this week, and as if my heart just tripped out of my body and fell on the ground, stunned. Got up, brushed itself off, and said, "Say it again, please. Hibernaculum." Right? I thought this must be related to hibernation, so I Googled it. Hibernaculum is a shelter occupied during the winter by a dormant animal. I adore this word. Toads and caterpillars and snakes and turtles and woodchucks, the smallest mice and the largest bears are all making their preparations for their long restorative winter rest. All across the world, spanning across time from today back many centuries, people, humans, have held sacred this time of year. Harvests have been completed, seeds have been gathered for next year's planting, and people mark this time as the beginning of the quiet, dark half of the year. So it is perhaps no surprise that many cultures choose this exact time of the year to pause and remember our ancestors and the loved ones whose bodies have returned to the earth, even as we hold tight to their wisdom and their love and their memories. Today, we will carry forward this sacred tradition by building a memorial altar. The author and Indigenous botanist Robin Wall Kimmerer says that the power of ceremony marries the mundane to the sacred. So too today, we lift the veil between the physical world and the spirit world in honoring our ancestors. So in just a moment, you will all be invited to come forward, place your mementos on the altar if you brought them, and if you didn't, that's totally okay. If you don't have something physical to share, you're invited to come up, choose a rock or two or three from that basket. Hold it silently for just a moment, holding in your heart a beloved that you are holding in your heart this morning, and then place it on the altar. So, we now invite you all to come forward up the center aisle to build our altar of remembrance. children here today who will be joining me across the street for RE can head to the back of the sanctuary, and everyone is invited to help sing the children out with hymn number 413, Go Now in Peace. Words are in your order of service.
When we give, we say yes to something we value. In this congregation, we take up an offering each week to say yes to the values of our UU faith, and yes to this beloved community. Please give as you are able. Today's offering will be gratefully received. Our music offering today is America the Beautiful, with words by Catherine Lee Bates and music by Samuel Ward.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains, majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed their grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
Oh, beautiful for heroes proved in liberating strife, who more than self their country loved, and mercy more than life.
Our reading today is Leona Handler and the Light by Reverend Julian Jamaica Soto. And this poem by Reverend Soto weaves in words from the letters of Leona Handler, a figure from our Unitarian Universalist history who was active in European resistance during World War II. When she was only in her mid-20s, Reverend Emily will read Leona's words as they appear in the poem, and I will read the poet's. She asked me the question with the light, breezy tone that you used to say, "How about the weather? What are you doing for hope these days?" Beloved, I think of Leona Handler, a Unitarian who loved the movement so much that she spent time fostering international solidarity. She wrote in a letter,
We still held to the last shreds of hope.
"Still hold. I know it looks hard yet again, maybe even awful. Leona was expecting the international disaster of war. Still hold. Hold my hand. Hold a note that may lead to a tune."
Yet in each heart was the dread fear that tomorrow, perhaps the next hour, would bring the greatest disaster.
Your fears are real. They are information for your protection. Rather than dismiss, please comfort them. With connection and with all the love you have to give and to receive.
But fear did not stand alone.
And this is key. What it will take to go past this moment is not something you can bring all by yourself. And you cannot bring it alone. Together we must rise.
Overshadowing it was the staunch determination.
Your gifts are brighter than fear, stronger than spider silk under tension, and more immovable as we hold together than the dusty boulders in our path. You as an inextricable link in we are stronger, and we know
That the light must not go out.
you are likely tired. How could you not be? But remember, you do not have to bring the victory. You can bring a spark.
Burning bright with each glowing ember.
Small hopes can be beautiful, can shine on the path and show the way forward then and now.
Is the hope for the light of reason and the sun of peace.
Yes, these and many more. We will need all of our imaginings, every action, large and small, for the world we want to live in, for our singular, exceptionally good or great commitment.
The light must not go out. The light should not cease to shine. Right? We will need all our imaginings, every action, large and small, for the world we want to live in. Those are the words that are sitting most on my heart this morning. We are each called to action in some way, however large or small. And that truth feels really real today, doesn't it? It feels really present. We are all called to take the small but monumental action of voting our conscience on Election Day this coming Tuesday. I know that's not news. It shouldn't be news to most of you, all of you. It is our most powerful right. And for so many of us, that right has never felt more precious than it does right now. But I think that is the call of every moment, is it not? For those of us committed to building a world of freedom, justice, and peace for all, aren't we called in some ways every single day to do that work and to live those values? And weren't our ancestors, some of our ancestors, doing the same? Maybe our parents, our grandparents, our great-grandparents, but also the ancestors of our Unitarian Universalist faith and the many generations that have come before us. So on this All Souls Sunday, as we are taking time to cherish the memories of our dearly departed beloveds, and we are wrestling with the call of this moment and the future of our democracy, I want to lift up a story about one of our own in this faith and her effort to answer the call of her moment in a time not so different than the one we are living in today. In 1939, Martha Sever was born. Her picture is on the front of your order of service, and I also added her to our memorial altar this morning. She was the youngest of 8 children, born to Colonel John Sever and his wife, Anne Dana Sever. The Sever family was a prosperous and influential family here in Kingston, and naturally, they were members of this church, as most of the town was back then. They owned 3 pews in the meeting house. I guess with 8 kids, you need 3 pews. Colonel John was a wealthy merchant, a ship owner, and the first president of the Old Colony Railroad. When Martha was 16 years old, tragedy struck the family with the death of her father. For reasons known only to history, Martha soon after converted to Trinitarianism and the Episcopal Church. She did that a few months after her dad died. So while we are not the only church that can claim her, unfortunately, we still consider her one of our ancestors due to her family's long, long connection to First Parish and Kingston. So there are a few amazing things about Martha. And the first for me is that she had the presence and the temerity to change denominations at the age of 16. Think about it. That would have been 1855. First Parish was the church in town. I'm sure at that point it wasn't the only church in town. There was more than one. I'm looking at Tom Vendetti because I'm expecting there was 3 churches, thank you. See, there you go. But we were still First Parish because we are the first church and we are older than the town. So, anyways, but she was 16 and she was a woman. Let's not forget that fact. Think about how brave you would have to be to stare down all of that and still make a decision to change the entire orientation of your faith, to take that action that she clearly felt strongly called to take. I mean, I didn't leave the church of my parents until I went to college. And it's a lot easier not to go to your family's church when you don't live there anymore. And she didn't have that out. So that's one thing. But here's the really amazing thing about Martha and really why I wanted to talk about her in our service today. A few years after she converted to the Episcopal Church, she became a nurse in the Civil War. Talk about a time of high partisan division. We don't know that much about her service, unfortunately, but we do know that she served in the hospital of the Sanitary Commission at Beverly, New Jersey. She cared for many sick, wounded, and dying Union soldiers. And her nephew later wrote about her that she, quote, wore herself out there, trying to prevent the embezzlement of food and other supplies by dishonest orderlies. So, I ask you, with that somewhat scant information, try to put yourself in Martha's shoes for just a moment. You're young, you're female, you're living in a highly divided country that won't even let you vote. We're about 60 years out from the passage of the 19th Amendment at this point. And then that highly divided country goes to war because of those divisions, and you answer the call to help in perhaps the only way you know how, by being a nurse and caring for wounded soldiers. You're far from home. You're having to keep chasing down your coworkers who are stealing food and supplies, apparently. She was the watchdog for that. You're working to care for men who are in an incredible, incredible amount of pain and suffering. You are no doubt seeing all manner of horrible, horrible things, including, I can only assume, a lot of death. And you're barely out of your teens. Can you imagine? I can't. I can't say that I could ever see myself choosing that path, that course of action. I don't think I could have answered that call. I would have been back in Kingston worshiping a Unitarian God from the family pews. But Martha did. In an extraordinary time, she took an extraordinary risk of stepping forward and undertaking a small but oh so consequential action. Sadly, Martha would not make it out of her 20s. While serving during the war, she contracted typhoid and she died on November 13th, 1864. She was 25 years old. She never married, she never raised a family, but she left a unique legacy all her own for all of us to remember here today. Many of you know the Civil War monument that stands right out there on the green, the soldier. Some of you might even be able to see it through the windows. It was officially dedicated with much pomp and circumstance on November 1st, 1883. But did you know that its inscription includes the name of Martha Sever? Also, it is the only Civil War monument in the state of Massachusetts to include the name of a woman. Thank you. Yes, exactly. How many hundreds, if not thousands, of women is Martha representing by having her name on that monument? Did you further know that there were 3 allied Kingston organizations that were formed after the war that bore Martha's name? There was the Martha Sever GAR post number 154. GAR stands for Grand Army of the Republic. The Martha Sever GAR Women's Relief Corps, post number 163, and finally, the Martha Sever Sons of Veterans, camp number 27, all of them named after her, all of them carrying her history forward, all of them honoring the life of a woman who literally sacrificed her life for her country. By the way, Tom has put together an amazing display of memorabilia about Martha in the Beale House, so make sure you check it out during coffee hour. It's really, really cool. There's even some swords. It's very cool stuff. Who can say what was in Martha's mind when she answered the call to serve as she did? Surely she wasn't thinking she would go down in history. Surely she wasn't thinking her name would be inscribed on monuments. Surely she didn't think that her family's church would still be talking about her 160 years after her death. She merely decided to meet the moment with a small and yet very important action. So as we face everything that this week will bring for all of us, I invite all of you to meet your moment with Martha in your mind. Yeah? We are each of us only one person. We can't do everything. We can't stop the fear-mongering and the division of our world any more than Martha herself could have stopped the Civil War. But, you knew there was a but coming. We can live our values by the small and important actions we take this week. We can vote, first of all. We can extend compassion to all of those around us who are feeling the stress and anxiety of this time. We can remember who we are called to be as people of faith and members of this church, people that center love, people that celebrate the inherent worth of all beings, people that cherish the earth, people that work to dismantle hatred and oppression. All of that is true today, and all of that will still be true on November 6th. None of that will change. No matter the outcome on Tuesday, they can't take that away from us, can they? No. They can't. They can't. I know many of us are afraid. We are tired, we are anxious, we are angry. We are probably the entire color wheel of feelings right now, right? I am. I share all of that. And I also have hope. I really do. I have hope, which is so much stronger than fear. And I don't just mean, oh, I hope it all works out. I'm not talking about that kind of hope. I mean that deep-seated knowledge that I am doing everything I can to work for the good, and that kind of hope is what is illuminating my path right now. I return often, and I will right now, to the words of Václav Havel, who I've used in this service before. He was a Czech playwright, because of course I'm getting my inspiration from the playwrights. He became a political dissident in the communist regime in the 1980s and eventually became president of Czechoslovakia. And he describes hope this way, which is a real grounding for me and I hope for you too. Hope is an orientation of the spirit. It is an orientation of the heart. Hope is an ability to work for something because it is good, not just because it stands a chance to succeed. It is hope, above all, which gives us the strength to live, even in conditions that seem as hopeless as ours do here and now. Even in conditions that seem as hopeless as ours. Hope gives us the strength to live. So that is my prayer for all of us, for this week and whatever comes afterwards, that we may feel suffused with a hope for what is good, a hope that gives us strength to hang on, a hope that to help each other, and most of all, a hope that perseveres, a hope that breeds resilience, a hope that reminds us that our small action to meet the moment can and will make a difference, a hope that is so much stronger than fear. My friends, have hope, and please vote. May it be so.
As we bring our beautiful service to a close, there are, of course, a few announcements to share. You're first and foremost all invited and welcome to join us after the service for coffee hour at the Beale House across the street. And if you're visiting us, please be sure to check out our Info Island welcome table over there to sign up for our newsletter and learn more about who we are. On Election Day, Tuesday, November 5th, we will have the Meeting House open. This is the Meeting House. From 5 to 6 for all of you who desire a quiet place to light a candle, meditate, or pray. Also, the Beale House across the street will be open from 5 to 8 for fellowship, games, snacks, not to watch election returns. You are all welcome and your families and friends to join us because we know that the burden of anxiety can be easier to bear in the company of others. On Sunday, November 17th at 5 p.m. in the Beale House, Reverend Emily and Laura Sanda will be offering a family worship service, followed by dinner provided by RE. This is an all-ages service and a great way to engage with the kids and families in our community. There is an announcement running in the newsletter with a link to RSVP, and that will continue to run each week, so continue to check it out and share with others. Finally, our Silver Bells Fair is coming up. Yay, December 7th. It's a Saturday, and we need volunteers, of course, especially on Friday, December 6th, the night before, for setup. So see the sign-up board at Info Island and talk to Deb Herlihy. Deb, are you here? Stand up. Don't be shy. There you are. See her. Deb, if you have any questions. Now please rise in body or in spirit for our closing hymn, "Oh, When the Saints Go Marching In." You know the tune, and the words are in your order of service.
As we extinguish our chalice, let us go forth with hope and let us vote. Amen.